All right, welcome everyone. Today is November 4th, and do I have a story for you today? So today, one day before the presidential election, I don't know about you, but I'm incredibly glad this is going to be over. I'm incredibly sick of getting 15 text messages a day telling me who to vote for or when to turn in my absentee ballot or whatever it may be. I'm glad it's over. We'll see who the winner is tomorrow or maybe 12 days from now. But as for today, I want to bring you a story. It's not even really that much political related, but this has been the story that's been all over the internet throughout the weekend, right? And the story is about Peanut the Squirrel, right? And you might have heard of this if you kind of live online. I'm on X, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on all of them. So I scroll through all of them almost every day. And this story has been everywhere. And I'm just going to pull it up, share my screen with you here. As you can see, if you just go to Google right now and type in Peanut the Squirrel, it's one of the top stories on Google even today. And this is Monday evening that I'm filming this. So the story behind Peanut the Squirrel is that just this gentleman that you see right here had adopted a wild squirrel whose mother was apparently hit by a car. And this guy took this squirrel in and was helping rehabilitate the squirrel or just helping rescue it essentially. He tried to at one point let it go. The squirrel came back to him, and the squirrel had been living with him for the last 7 years. And you can see throughout those 7 years, he started to Instagram with the squirrel. He actually has 730 followers right now on Instagram, Peanut the Squirrel, as you can see. I think a couple days ago it was at about 500 or 550. But 730 followers. Peanut the Squirrel, you can see him doing some tricks, holding up some signs. There's one's eating waffles. This guy's just kind of playing with the squirrel, as well as a pet raccoon, a wild raccoon that they had living with them, and while they were living in New York, mind you. And the deal was that apparently somebody ratted this guy out that he had wild animals living with him, and this girl, I guess, has been identified and is now being blasted all over social media for ratting this guy out and turning him in. And the internet's crazy, so this lady's probably getting death threats by now. Who knows? But I almost feel bad for her when it comes to the internet like this. But anyways, this lady ratted this guy out for having wild animals in his apartment. Apparently, the police or the authorities raided his apartment or house, and they were using what do they call it within the article here? Um, excessive force, almost like a raid you would see in the movies, busting in. I don't know if they had guns drawn. I don't know any of that. It really doesn't go into that much detail on this, but obsessive force with this raid. They seized both Peanut the Squirrel and Fred the Raccoon that you saw on Instagram. And I believe it was a day or 2 days later, they actually euthanized both of those animals, right? And um, I guess one of the reasons is that um, when they were seizing the animals, the squirrel bit one of the people that was doing the seizing, and there was a concern or scare about rabies, and that's one of the reasons they euthanized the animal right away. Um, if you go a bit into the articles, you can see that in New York, where this guy was living, to have a wild animal in your home, you do need a license to have a wild animal, which this guy did not have, but um, he was apparently doing something to make it an emotional support animal or something of the sort. But the story is that this guy's had this squirrel for 7 years. It has this huge following on social media, with 500,000 people now, nearly 750,000 people doing all this dumb shit within these videos on Instagram, and he gets ratted out. The authorities come in. seize the animals, the wild animals, and kill them almost immediately. Now, why is this a big story? Well, uh, the entire internet, along with celebrities and politicians, are talking about this, right? Here on X, you can see, I think this was just last night, Sunday night, that Elon Musk was talking to Joe Rogan about this. And I'll play just a small clip from that for you right now.
Somebody kill your squirrel.
Yeah,
Really
John Wick.
Yeah, the fucking squirrel thing is bananas.
Yeah,
that squirrel thing in New York.
Thing. So here's the thing about the whole squirrel thing is that how can it be that we live in America, supposedly land of the free, and the government can barge into your home with guns, so if you resist, you're going to get shot, and then take your pets and execute them. And if they can do that to your pets, what do you think they can do to you?
All right, so that's just a small clip of Elon talking on the Joe Rogan podcast. But you can see this squirrel is becoming politicized. This post was by Autism Capital that you can find on X, and you can read the transcript of it. Go and watch the video yourself. But essentially, what people are doing are trying to say it's government overreach, right? People coming into your homes, stealing your pets, killing them. The question is raised many times across the internet. Why is the government even wasting their time and money on this? Right? If they have all the time in the world to go and raid a house for a squirrel, as well as all the resources and money available to go and raid a house for a squirrel and then euthanize it, what is the government doing? Why are we doing this? Right? And not to mention the Trump campaign and the right is the one that are coming and saying, hey, this is government overreach. Why is this being done? Vote Trump and we won't kill your squirrels anymore, right? I mean, it's kind of fascinating how this went from a squirrel that has 500,000 followers on Instagram to being a conservative talking point, right? And you can even see a BBC article that I have pulled up right here with Peanut the Squirrel right in the top, where there's it says Trump fired up about Peanut the Squirrel. There's a video here of J.D. Vance talking about being fired up over the squirrel's death. And again, the same government that doesn't care about hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants coming into our country doesn't want us to have pets, the Ohio senator told supporters in North Carolina. It's the craziest thing. So this is, I guess maybe there's just not all that much to talk about over the weekend in terms of politics. And this Peanut the Squirrel story pops up online, gets a ton of media, and the government, the conservatives are just grabbing at it to use it as a government overreach news story and something that they're not for. However, like I said earlier, I think the one thing, this guy was supposed to have a license for this. He did not. That's why authorities went in and raided after he was kind of snitched out. Do I agree with that? No, not really. It's just a squirrel. I could give a shit less if someone has a squirrel in their home or their apartment. But then again, I do agree with the fact of wasting government resources to raid someone's house over a squirrel and then killing it the next day is all really, really weird. And kind of useless, pointless, and just wasting our tax dollars. The last thing I'll just show you real quick is the guy who had this squirrel living with him. At one point, I think it was the day after, he started a GoFundMe to pay the bills of people that were going to help him get the squirrel back because he didn't think it was going to be euthanized. He thought they were just holding it, and he was trying to get it back, and the money that was going to be used for lawyers or whatever it may be to get the squirrel back. Well, that GoFundMe then turned into, because it was euthanized, that GoFundMe now turned into supporting Peanut's Freedom Farm, which you can see on the GoFundMe page here. Is animal rescue center, a new animal rescue center that they're trying to start. And so far this has raised $187,000, right, since this blew up. So the internet's crazy. The world's kind of crazy. I can't believe that this guy went from putting a squirrel on Instagram to having Elon Musk, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance talk about him on the last day as a political campaign, and then at the same time raising $188,000 because people feel bad that, they killed his squirrel. So, I obviously don't support people just randomly killing people's animals, like most people wouldn't. But this whole thing is just a little bit insane. And if you hadn't heard about it, I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be on tomorrow, obviously with the election going on, and I'll give you a 5-10 minute update on the election. I'm sure we won't know the winner tomorrow night. But otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and see you tomorrow.